What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show. Scott, welcome back. You missed perhaps the worst, most god-awful stretch of Yankees baseball in quite a while. Good job. Nice timing on the Italy Euro trip.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It would have been tough for me to spin positive things coming out of the games that I saw. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch a ton of the games while I was gone. I saw this past weekend for Baltimore. At least I rewatched a lot of it, but the 6-hour time difference really does make a damn difference, man. Like, holy cow. Like, you can't, I don't know how, I have a new respect for all the people in London with a 5-hour difference in England to follow this team. You must not just pay attention, or you must not turn notifications off and then, you
got it. Yeah.
Find out the information when you wake up and watch the games at your leisure. But that's got to be, it's got to be difficult. It's a different way of viewing, because if you know what's happening, you already happened, and then you're watching the game. I don't know. It would be if I did that, it would be impossible for me not to fast forward. I don't have the patience.
What happened?
Yeah, and then I would lose a lot of the little things, the nuance of the game, I think.
If you could,
it's a tough experience.
Because they have the condensed games, which are like 12 minutes long. That doesn't get you the flow of the game.
No. You lose the nuance in the flow of the game.
If you could somehow condense the 3-hour baseball game into like an hour and 15 minutes, obviously cutting out all the commercial breaks, cutting out a lot of like the pitchers just walking around picking their ass and stuff, and like just still get the nuances of the at-bats, the tension moments. Maybe you skip a couple things if that's just like literally low tension. Then I feel like you could get through it without fast forwarding or checking your phone for notifications. An hour 15, but yeah, it does give a new, because we get a lot of people submitting mailbag questions from London and Europe and stuff like that, who I don't know how they do it. You can do it the other way around. Like if you're an EPL fan in the US, like you watch games at 8 o'clock in the morning. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, the other way around's no problem going, but it's when everything is behind you by that long. So yeah, it was tough to keep up with live action while we were in Italy, but had a great trip. Had just a nice refresh of the brain, and missed the benches clearing brawl. Looked like the biggest thing that we missed. It looked like a whole bunch of nothing burger.
It was benches clearing,
Baltimore.
but it was
quote unquote.
Not a single punch. I don't even know if someone got pushed. It was a lot of chest puffing by Brandon Hyde, who I think definitely overreacted, and I think it was completely transparent what he was doing. He was trying to fire his team up, who was on the verge of losing their 4th straight game. His player did just get hit in the head, but like, dude, read the room. It is humid. It is raining. The Yankees are also struggling right now.
Clay Holmes hasn't had control all season.
Clay Holmes can't find the plate, as we saw on Sunday. Yeah. He's not about to drill someone in the head and potentially lose a game. Like, I get it, but also fucking chill, dude.
No, I mean, I understand what they had been reeling. Didn't they just get swept by the Cubs? They
got swept by the Cubs, but also demolished by the Cubs.
Yeah, and so they had lost a good amount of games in a row, and it's not like he's trying to fire him up necessarily for that game, because that game was, I mean, against Clay Holmes and the Yankees, nothing is in the bag.
No,
but
clearly you get a couple base runners and you see what happened last night.
But he was trying to rally the troops, and I think maybe up until the 9th inning of yesterday, I would have said that like it did the opposite effect, and the Yankees were taking advantage of that. But now that I watched and saw the 9th inning, because that was the timing of that. My God, the timing of that 9th inning. So we land because we flew through, we were in London for a day, and then we came back here and flew in, landed, and I forgot the game was at 11 o'clock in the morning. So that screwed my time up. So
cool.
We're landing on the ground. Yeah, I know the early starts are good. And I have the phone. I have it on my phone, watching the phone as we're deplaning because it's taking a little bit longer. Ben Rice, boom, hell yeah, like huge moment for Ben Rice. The kid comes in. He had been struggling. I know he had a lot of strikeouts. He just hadn't been, having very good plate appearances from what I could tell. Huge go ahead home run, and then the way that Clay Holmes put all those base runners on, and the fact that, man, I know Volpe's been struggling since I've been gone big time too, and like he's been pretty bad, but that is a terrible error that he made. I mean, that is as routine of a ball with a force play right in front of you, and then Verdugo, I don't know what the hell you're doing. The guy has been, we've been talking about his defense pretty much all year long, and then he bites in on a ball that is slicing over his head, and I saw 99 percentile catch rate.
I have to imagine the
1%
is like maybe that's off the Green Monster at Fenway or something like that.
I don't know. I don't think are there 100% catch rates.
I think there's 100%. There's no 100% catch rates. Logan.
No, someone slips and falls. The sun gets in their eyes. The lights.
Okay, so 99 is basically 100.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because I don't think you can have 100 because errors happen, things happen.
But
that was a big time blow. It was terrible. Like
it was terrible.
He had opportunities. The ground balls were there. The fly ball was
themselves.
there, and they vomited up. And it feels like this happens every time we go into the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel like that. Where
I
there's
pointed
just
that out.
Hey, let's just suck to go into it. So any momentum that we would have had, because you're taking 3 of 4 from Baltimore, back in first place.
It would have been a sweep. There was a 3-game set.
Oh, 3-game set, my fault. And then all of a sudden you're losing that last game, and it's just a different feeling.
I pointed this out in our text chain yesterday. It feels like the last day before the All-Star break, this happens a lot. Obviously, we all remember the Chad Green Altuve moment from, I believe that was 2019. And then I feel like something happened in 2021 or 2022 where the Yankees coughed up a lead late right before the All-Star break. And then obviously yesterday was perhaps the worst of all, just the way they lost it. And maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I think this ties into the mentality that Aaron Boone instills on this team, where they're thinking ahead to, oh, it's the All-Star break. We get to reset. We're going to go in with a sweep. It's going to be great. We got the big home run from Rice. Clay Holmes has got this. I'm already thinking about my flight to the Caribbean. I'm already thinking about the flight to South Beach in Miami. Oh, ground balls hit to me? Shit, I bobble it. Oh, fly balls hit to me? Oh, it's over my head. Belly flop on the left field turf. And then they think they won. They act like they've won something, whether it's a game, whether it's a championship, when they haven't won shit.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I can't go into it saying that Volpe and Verdugo are acting and counting their days off before the game is over. Ben Rice with the huge home run carries that momentum into the last inning.
Not all of them.
I think what happens, here's a couple things that happen. Focus is lost. That's
what I'm saying. Focus is lost.
I don't think
on
they're
the task at hand, which is win today, and then I get a 4-day break.
Okay, I don't think it's that. I think it's also the fact that you have a closer that can't throw the ball over the strike zone. That's part of it.
That doesn't help.
So you get wooed to sleep because you are walking guys. You're all over the damn plate, away from the plate, not over the plate, but away from it, and you can't do anything. And then even it was clear that he was pitching around. Was it Adley Rutschman? I think in that last at bat, because he had a better matchup with Mountcastle, which I don't disagree with. The problem is that when you load the bases and you can't throw strikes, bad things happen. He did throw strikes. He got the ground ball.
Did you see what Boone said though,
execute
after the game?
Yeah, I saw what he said. Something about not being able to close the game out.
No.
They were
Boone
there.
said that he did say that. He said the reality is we've started to turn a corner, but we couldn't close one out today. But what he also said in response to specifically the questions about Clay Holmes, he said Clay Holmes did his job, referring to he got the ground ball, he got the fly ball. In a vacuum in those at-bats, yes. But he didn't do his job in that 9th inning. You have a 2-run lead and you get the bases loaded with just 1 out. That is definitively not doing your job as the closer.
Yeah. What he's saying, though, is he got the opportunity to close the game out, which he did.
But
I'm not going to defend anything that Boone says. I think Boone's a moron, and he's just a walking excuse for.
But acknowledge it all. He's excuse making for Clay Holmes. I'm not saying Clay Holmes is the number one reason they lost the game yesterday. If you're ranking them, it's Volpe in the 9th inning, number 1, Verdugo in the 9th inning, number 2, but Clay Holmes is number 3 because he put them in a position by loading the bases to where, and also not being able to strike people out as a closer. He's a contact sinker ball pitcher to get a ground ball. When you hit ground balls, when you hit fly balls, and there's people on the bases, more bad things can happen. I'm not saying every single pitcher on your roster needs to just be strikeout pitchers. I think the game has trended too far in that direction. But if there's one spot that you could say you need strikeouts. It's your closer.
Yeah, and the other side of things, you see Ben Rice barreling up a ball from Craig Kimbrell, who has notoriously, you look at his stats and they look way better than they really are. Because
who does that sound like?
Yeah, I know. He loves to let in inherited runners. Like his numbers get inflated because you don't see that stuff in the ERA and some of the stats that are shown quite a bit. But again, good, hell of a job by Ben Rice to do that, to get them in that position. Terrible job on the defense and Clay Holmes to not finish that job. That's a job that they absolutely need to shut the door on.
All right, we're gonna do three negatives, three positives, three negatives from the series, which we've already touched on a bunch, and also talk about the August 3rd game. But first, the All-Star break is here. The Yankees open up the unofficial second half at home against Tampa, and then the Mets. If you're looking for tickets, look no further than the Game Time app. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, meaning buying tickets to a baseball game on Game Time is even faster and easier than ever. The app has so many great features. I love the flash deals because you can see the sections that have the best deals. I toggle on the all-in pricing because I never like to be hit with extra fees at checkout. Just tell me how much it's going to cost up front. You probably experienced this with tipping over in Europe, right? There's no tipping there. They just maybe charge an extra euro or something, an extra €2 for something. Cool. Just charge me. Charge me 20% more, U.S. restaurants. So
as long as I know it.
So just let me know it. And don't have to do the math on my phone and feel like an idiot whenever I pull out the calculator app. And also the seat views. The app is streamlined and is easy to use. Game Time has great tickets for concerts, comedy shows, theater, and much, much more in addition to sporting events. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less money, Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Bronx for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Bronx for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
So
August
real
3rd.
Quick on the tipping thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything about this. No one told me until afterwards. After
You've been dishing out money. Oh, they probably saw you coming from a mile away. Yeah, get those Americans in here. 100%.
Well, I did take note of my first receipt in London, and I saw a 20% tax on the food, and then I saw that gratuity was included, and I'm like, but it was like 12%, and I'm like, damn, 12% gratuity, huh? So am I expected to go on top of that? Because in the U.S., you're a cheapskate if you tip at 12%. So yeah, I left a couple bucks afterwards, just to make sure that I'm feeling it, and then I got a lesson on the tipping and all. Anyway, so when we were in Italy, we had a family. It was like a family style restaurant. It's like a really old. This place has been open since the 70s. They serve your food out of a bowl and like dish it onto your plate. It's an unbelievable place. It was like a 6-7 course meal, and it was like at the end of the day for 7 people, and it was like including like all the kids gelato, and they like disappeared for a little bit and they played games and came back, and it was like €160 for like all of this, which in the States it would have been like over $1,000 probably.
Definitely.
And at the end we're paying, and we give them 20 extra. And she was like, no, it's too much. She wouldn't do it. And then we gave it to her because we were coming back, and we needed a table like on a Friday night. She was trying to give us shots from the bar. Like she was trying to do anything to give us like value for the dollars that we gave her. They were so appreciative. But yeah, tipping, not a thing. Did not realize that. Sucks for them.
Not a thing. Yeah. So you said 12%. You're a cheapskate. I agree. I'm probably never going 12%. I'm pretty much 20% always, unless it was egregiously bad service, and then I might go down to 15.
Yeah.
But even if you do the bare minimum, you're getting 20% out of me.
I'm a 20% guy, and if it's like, I'll round up a little bit if it's
sure.
And I usually do it with the tax, so it's actually ends up being more. I don't really try to figure out what the tax was before and the pre.
Too much math.
That. Yeah. So you're actually getting more than 20% out of me on a consistent basis.
Yeah. All right, so we mentioned the August 3rd game, which is Saturday, a 1 o'clock game against the Blue Jays at home. We've got we calling this an event, or is this like an outing?
It's just a game it's a gathering. It's a gathering.
At Yankee Stadium and a bar beforehand.
Yeah, we'll probably meet up at a bar. Like it's not going to be a huge we're gonna supply the tickets. We're gonna get everything there. The $65 includes a $20 voucher for food, beverage at the stadium, sitting in section 205 as we normally do. But yeah, this one again, we're slowly dipping our toes back into this thing. We're not going to do a T-shirt. I may bring some hats.
If you've been to an event before and you still have the T-shirts, wear one of your favorites from one of those events.
That's a great call.
I just want to see all, because I have
suitcases of old T-shirts, so maybe I'll bring some of those.
Just bring some and start handing some out. I think we did 2 events in 2017. We did like 5 or 6 in 18 and 19. We did 1 last year, and then I think we did one did we do one in 2022? I can't remember. We did the playoff one in 2020. But there's call it conservatively 12 variations of Bronx Pinstripes events T-shirts out there. Some people have been to them all. Some people have been to a couple. Wear one of your favorites. I'm trying to think which one is my favorite. I might pull out the DJ LeMahieu one to try and get that guy to turn it around because he looks freaking toast at this point. Maybe I'll pull out the DJ shirt.
Yeah, my favorite one is still the first one. I think the first one that was hand drawn.
What was the first one?
The white one with the arches, the Bronx Pinstripes.
That one you can't for me. You can't even see the print anymore. It's been worn and washed so many times.
Yeah, I just keep going back into the bag for another one for me, and I have cut off the sleeves of a few of them as well.
Cool, so. Bring one for me.
I will.
So like you said, $65 gets you a $20 food and drink voucher for inside the game, section 205. That's a really good value. Saturday afternoon game against the Blue Jays. I think we got about 100 tickets. They'll be on bronxpinstripes.com at some point today, Monday, July 15th. But also, you can email info@bronxpinstripes if you don't see it, just to sort of note, hey, I'm looking for tickets, or DM.
Yeah. Shoot me an email at info@bronxpinstripes.com and I will get you a link so that we can get your tickets squared away. But yeah, looking forward to it. I know there's a bunch of people going to be coming out, it's actually Kemp's birthday as well. Kemp's birthday's around then, so we'll be up and excited.
Is he going to the game?
Yeah, he'll be there.
Nice.
He'll be there, hot as hell. Let's hope. Maybe a cold front will come in August.
As long as it's not as bad as the game we went to for Judge's first game, which I think reached like 105 degrees. And
I don't know, dude. I saw the thermometer
humidity
on the East Coast while we were gone.
It
looked
brutal.
like it's insane. And then the next couple of days here, it looks like it's going to be bad too. So I don't know. It looks hot. Maybe we get it out of the way.
All right, let's do some positives from the Baltimore series, because they were a 9th inning just fielded ground ball or caught pop fly away from a pretty damn perfect weekend to sweep Baltimore heading into the All-Star break after the team had been going so poorly over the past really month, but especially the past 2 weeks, really since you were gone. It's just awful baseball. But I want to start with Cole, who was good, and he wasn't just good. It felt like the first legit Cole start since he came back, where it wasn't he threw 106 pitches, so clearly there was no pitch
stretched out. Yep.
He didn't seem like he was holding anything back as far as velocity goes. It was clearly a big game because the Yankees were coming off of a lost series and desperately needed a win against a good offense in Baltimore, even though they've been struggling. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. The line is good. But you just needed to see Cole look like Cole again, and not someone who's just going through some March 20th spring training starts.
Well, yeah, and especially with the starting pitching that has been reeling over the past month, really, and all the series when I was gone, they just haven't been pitching well. And I know we'll talk about Heel in a minute as well, but having that stability at the top is absolutely needed. Understanding that the other guy that's supposed to be towards the top of the line, the rotation, is just back to the 2023 version of the schmuck that we signed. So, yes, seeing him stretch out, seeing him go the distance against a very, very good offense, that's a damn good thing. Going into the second half of the season, the Yankees need Garrett Cole to be at the top of his game, need him to be healthy. So this is a really good sign for what's to come for him.
You see what Logan just put in the notes about the August 3rd game?
No. Rodon's scheduled.
Yeah, probable pitching is Rodon versus Kikuchi. But there's an all-star break in there. Like, so many things could change between now and then.
I mean, they announced the rotation coming out of the break. and that is based on.
Okay.
It could still change. It's still a little bit away, but
honestly, I might skip the game and just stay at the bar the entire time.
Well, if it's 103 degrees outside, I think all of us will be up in the
Well, the game will be over by the second inning, so we can go. All right, so the second positive from the Baltimore series, sticking with the rotation, is Luis Gil. Second good start in a row, also bouncing back from his horrible start against Baltimore where he didn't make it out of the second inning. He also threw 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run. The Yankees gave him a four-run lead in the first inning, and he kind of just cruised from there, dominated from there. He's at 102 1/3 innings pitched in 19 games. That already surpasses, I believe, his single-season career high for pro innings pitched in a season. Yes, you can get, he's got a week off essentially without pitching this week, but I don't know. Is it going to become a thing with the innings?
I have no idea, but at this point, really what we're looking for, and I'm really happy to see, is that he's bounced back. And you go back to you could say two things. Like this one, this start, he had, a 4-run lead. And in the past, in the month of June, when he had that really hot stretch, like he was pitching with a lead quite a bit, and he was able to go out there and just kind of pitch free and easy around the strike zone. And I think that was really helping him out. Guys were swinging, being more aggressive with his fastball, and I think that really played to his strength, and he was able to use that to his advantage. But you go back to Boston, the start before this, and they lost that game 3-0, I think. So it's not like he was pitching with a lead. Like his stuff was there. He limited the walks in both of those games, because I don't think he walked anybody in that Boston game.
No, his start prior to this was Tampa, where he gave up 3 or 4 in the first inning.
Okay, what am I looking at? I'm looking at the one before that.
Yeah, I think his start before that was against Boston at home, I believe. But his last start
7-7, Luis Gil against Boston, 3-0. Yeah, you're confusing it. It's not me. Yeah. Who is in Italy, me or you?
I thought, for some reason, I was thinking Rodon, because I was preparing what I was going to talk about.
You're just ready to just destroy him. No, Luis Gil has, the last 2 have been very good.
Yeah, last 2 have been good.
And that's where, you need that bounce back, because from where he was, such a high, going to be the starter of the All-Star game, to then not even getting onto the roster, and then you have him, because he was struggling so mightily, he's bounced back, and he's able to do that against Boston, who is a I don't even know what they are. Are they a good baseball team? Are they an okay baseball team? Are they're punching above their
They're competitive.
Their weight?
They're competitive.
So they're and especially if you're in division like that, like that's a good start. And again, the walks for me are always his Achilles heel, and he's really limited those. I know he had a couple hits.
He leads the league in walks.
Yes, but the last two starts, 1 walk.
Yep.
And that's big. And again, you go back to the base runners, and before we had talked about his walks and his hits. His hits were limited. The walks were up. So you're looking at total number of base runners, and there were a few more scattered hits against him this time, but he looked like he was in control for the last 2 starts, and that's a really good thing, because if he's up there and you have Cole who's come back, then that's a really, really good thing for the top of the rotation, because those 2 guys are the top of your rotation right now. And I don't know how we're going to handle the pitch count or the innings limit and all that shit. I don't know how that's going to work out. We're just going to have to see how that works. But it's really good to see that he's rebounded and that he just didn't fully turn into a pumpkin again. He's able to show the guy that we thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I said this, I think it was with Max last week, that if you're looking at the 3 main areas of the team, starting pitching, bullpen, and offense, I have not only the most confidence, but also it's the most likely to turn things around and carry the team again, as the starting rotation. Because the names are there. Aside from Clark Schmidt, who's injured, everyone else is healthy. Cole's back, and the rest of the guys are in the rotation and should all be better than their pitching. Nestor Cortez, when he's at home, is great, and when he's on the road, he sucks. Again, I can't figure that out. No one can figure that out. But the names are there. So the rotation is going to need to pick it up and allow for some other areas to either have additions via trade, additions via guys coming back. You've got to weather the storm with the rotation. They were getting beat so bad early in games where it didn't even matter what happened in the rest of the game. The rotation was losing them the games in the first 4 innings every single night. And the offense, not competitive enough to come back from 3-4 run deficit for the most part. And so, yeah, that's it. Well, in that stretch, I mean.
Let me tell you what's crazy. You look at right now at the leaderboard of teams and runs scored. Yankees are at the top.
Makes no
sense.
It's
wild. It is wild. But it doesn't feel like that. It does not feel like that. And especially, man, it's probably because, recency bias, what have you done for me lately? And it's been a lot of Aaron Judge and, some Juan Soto as well, but not a lot of everybody else. But since Stanton has gone down, it seemed like there had been, Stanton was producing a lot for this team. And since he's been gone, I know he's going to be back hopefully very soon. They've not been getting the offensive production from places outside 2 and 3.
I mean, the cleanup spot's been one of the worst in baseball.
Yeah, it's been terrible.
The offense was obviously good in the first 2 months of the season, and then when it started to struggle, even when it was pretty bad for the month of June into July, they had a few games where they put up double-digit runs and kind of skewed those run totals. It's like they would score 16 against the Blue Jays and then won the next day. Okay.
Yeah, I understand that, but you're still. I mean, at the end of the first half, when you're the top of the league and runs scored, like those call out days, those outliers are only so many.
But we all
look
agree
at them for so much.
This offense, as it stands today, July 15th, leads the league in runs scored, is not going to be good enough to win anything going forward.
What it shows you is how ridiculous of a season Aaron Judge is having and how good Juan Soto has been. And before Stanton went down, the production that he got. But I mean, you have two guys that are having, MVP type seasons. Judge is on pace again to shatter home run records. Like he's been a wrecking crew. So he's carrying the 2-3 spots are carrying the offense right now.
Yes. Number 3 positive is Austin Wells, who had the big 3-run home run to give him the early lead on Saturday. And now with Trevino out, he's going to have to carry the catcher load. Since June 1st, in 81 plate appearances, 232 batting average, 333 on base, 478 slugging. That's an 812 OPS. He's got 5 home runs and 15 RBIs. That seems like the slash line, like his future slash line, if he can pan out as an offensive player, where he's got power, he can get on base decently. I don't think he's ever going to be much better than like a 230 hitter, but if you're a 230 catcher hitter with an 812 OPS, that's very good production.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got the ability to be better than that, but right around there. I don't think it's like too crazy to. I'm excited to watch him. So you don't wish injury on anybody, obviously, and Trevino's been, a steady part of this team. But I'm excited to see Austin Wells in an everyday spot. I am. I'm excited to see him play every single day, get every single day at bats, and see what he can do with some consistency, because I have a feeling it's going to really help him at the plate. And that's, again, like, as we know, Austin Wells came up as an offensive catcher. He's turned into a much better defensive catcher than I think anybody realized or had thought. But the offense still, even that line that you're mentioning, like that's kind of
good, that's a pretty good offensive line for a catcher. 812 OPS. Yeah, that's hitting for power, and it's getting on base 33% of the time. I don't know you're not going to find many catchers with a better offensive slash line than that.
I'm excited to watch him with everyday at bats to see how he really does shape, because I think this next month we'll see. He's had last year and this year. He's had enough time under his belt to see major league pitching, and now's the time.
Yeah, and Trevino had the huge double. Was that Friday night? He was super pumped up. Apparently hurt his quad, maybe running the bases at that point or sometime in that game. He's going to be out for a while. He was becoming such a liability in the run game. I know they love his framing, but they were still giving him virtually, 50-50 split for the catching time. And it just seemed like why at this point, why keep giving Trevino and Wells the split time? At least skew it towards Wells. And now this is going to force their hand. Never want to root for an injury on a guy, but I was at the point where I was dreading whenever Trevino was in the lineup.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. I think that's going to be hopefully. And look, the Yankees need to understand what they have in Austin Wells. Is he an everyday catcher? Is he the catcher of the future? So the fact that this injury is happening right now, coming out of the All-Star break, like, he's the guy. So they're going to find out. This is a huge opportunity for him to to make a real entrenched spot for years to come.
So when you're in Italy, did you pick up any Italian? Pick up any of the language?
Not a ton.
How'd you
little
communicate?
Bit. I communicate by being an arrogant American and asking if they speak English,
And they do.
and like a lot of there's a lot of people who speak English until you go to the villages and like nobody because, but then they, you have some good translator apps, but there's better ways to do this.
Definitely. Learning another language can feel daunting at times, or maybe you just don't have the time that you think you need. With Babbel, you can start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. Babbel is great because their convenient courses can fit into your hectic schedule. Lessons are only 10 minutes long, and they are handcrafted by over 200 language experts to help you start speaking a new language. Babbel is designed by real people for real conversations. You don't need to pay hundreds of dollars for private tutors or waste hours on apps that claim they're going to help you learn a new language. Babbel's tips and tools are approachable, accessible, rooted in real-life situations, and delivered with conversation-based teaching so you're ready to practice what you've learned in the real world, like traveling to a small village in the hills of Italy. Babbel has over 16 million subscriptions sold, plus all of Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by their 20-day money-back guarantee. Special limited time deal right now for our listeners. You can get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/Bronx. Get up to 60% off. That's an awesome deal at babbel.com/Bronx, spelled Babbel. Rules and restrictions may apply.
We did see the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
I've heard that's extremely overrated, and it's just a bunch of tourists taking pictures.
Well, there's a whole bunch of tourists taking pictures, and everybody's doing the same damn picture. And of course, Bevan wanted to do the same damn picture, and I'm like, all right, let's go do the same.
But it's
picture.
only like that tower. Like Pisa is not a town; it's just like the tower. That's it, right?
So we flew in and out of Pisa, and the reason, So we on the way out, we went
Pisa?
early, and it's on the west coast of Italy, and we were able to go in. Yeah, there's a whole big tourist trap before you walk in there. But I think I don't think it's overrated. I think it was really cool. The architecture, I think, is absolutely beautiful. If you're going in there looking for, just try to erase all the people that are there.
Oh, it's close to Lucca, which is where you were. Yeah. And listen, so when I went to Italy, we did Rome, Florence, and Venice. Mm-hmm. I loved Rome because I like history. I love doing the Colosseum. I love just walking the streets. It was really cool. Florence, I felt like this is like super cultural, like very beautiful. We did like wine tastings in the areas around Florence. The food was delicious. And when we were in Florence, everyone, you could take a train, I believe, over to Pisa to see the tower. And that's something a lot of people do. Yeah. And we got
Florence is about 2 hours east of us.
And so we were working with a tour guide, and he was like, don't waste your time. You're going to spend all day on a train to take some pictures and then come back. Just walk around Florence. Just go do something here, or drive 40 minutes outside of Florence to go to like a beautiful vineyard. And we took him up on that, and we had a pretty awesome time. Yeah. And then we took the train north to Venice, and while it's extremely cool and like unique, I hated it. The people were rude. It just wasn't like, the food wasn't as good. It was more expensive. It felt like Disney World, Italy, instead of Italy.
So I will say Lucca felt like a very authentic city in Italy. It felt like it felt like I was getting the true experience. It was a cool city. I really liked it a lot. And when you say city, like, it doesn't feel like a city to me. It feels like a large town because there's
no skyscrapers or anything.
Tall buildings. It's all the same. Yeah, it's like going to Charleston. It's like there's air rights that you can't go past. But and everything is just historic and beautiful and probably very old. But yeah, Pisa was cool. I think the architecture, if you go there to appreciate how people built things back when they built them there, it's absolutely amazing. And the detail in some of the things are absolutely amazing. And I know the soil, there's something with the soil and the reason why they had to build the tower the way that they did build the tower. I always thought it was just some arrogant architect who had a big head. He's like, I'm going to do it different, and it's going to
take his engineering course and just started leaning.
But it's I think it was really cool, and all the buildings around it are really neat too.
Well, you flew in and out of there, so that makes total sense.
It was easier.
If I was flying in, yes, I would go see it, but I wasn't about to take a train.
We can't go to Pisa. We kept flying in and out of Pisa and not see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. But we did not climb up it because Kemp would have been complaining since after step 3. So we did not do that. But he thought it was really cool too. So
all right. All right, 3 negatives. We already touched on the 9th inning from Sunday. Is there anything else you want to touch on from that? It was just a complete breakdown. It's pitching execution, defensive execution, everything. I want to touch a little bit more on Anthony Volpe, because up until the point when you were leaving, you always were positive on Volpe, even when I was criticizing him. But we're now at the point where, he
got moved from his spot while I was gone.
He got taken out of the leadoff spot. But take the error out of it, because he is a good defensive shortstop. And that is just a bad error. I'm not sitting here telling you that's anything more than just a bad error. But offensively, he's worse than he is last year, because he's now just become a singles hitter. So he's a 250 singles hitter versus a 220 guy who can hit 20 home runs. From an pure offensive production standpoint, that is worse to be a 250 singles hitter. Yeah. And I don't know how we got here with him, but since
it happened fast. It does seem like it happened fast over the last month, and it just got, there was an exclamation point put on it while I was gone. I didn't see his at bats, a lot of them while I was gone, but yeah, I mean, he got demoted, and clearly that I see the box scores, I see some of the highlights, and all. He's not a productive hitter. And he doesn't seem like he's have very good at bats either.
No, he's a nothing at the plate. He's been an absolute. He's actually been worse than a 0. He's been a negative offensively for them.
Yeah, so it's concerning.
It's very concerning, because he was their third best hitter through the middle of May, and he just hasn't been. And I don't know what it is. I don't get it.
Like I said from him, I thought coming into this year with him in the leadoff spot was a really big opportunity for him because he's hitting in front of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. And when you're hitting in front of, in order, Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, you should be getting a ton of pitches over the plate, and you should be able to do what you want. If you're able to stay within yourself and look for certain pitches, you should be able to do what you want, because you're going to get strikes. You're going to get fastballs. And the fact that he can't hit fastballs over the plate to, all places in the field is a problem. You're right. It's a problem. And I don't know why it's happening. Because
where did the power go?
You can't be in a better position than he is, than he was in the leadoff spot. You cannot be in a better position. You're not going
to find a better spot. Where did the power go? Last year, we were surprised by the 20 home runs, but he hasn't had a home run since the middle of May. He's got 6 home runs.
Yeah.
Where did it go?
I'm not concerned about the power at all. If I have consistent spraying of the ball and you're going gap to gap, but he's not doing that. There's no production. There's no doubles. Again, he needs to be a doubles machine. If he's a doubles machine, that's what he should be. In the leadoff spot, if he's a doubles machine, that means he's getting line drive power, and the ball's going to go over the fence occasionally. That's what he should be. That's what he needs to be. That's what I expected him to be this year.
Yeah, I'm not literally just talking about home runs. He's not hitting for extra base hits. He's not slugging. His slugging percentage is awful. He's legitimately been a 250 singles hitter.
He should be a gap-to-gap doubles hitter. That's what he should be. That should be his profile.
1 for 4.
He's not that profile.
1 for 4 with a single. I'm sorry, it's not good enough from him.
And I think what it comes back to is plate discipline, because clearly the pitching side has seen something on Anthony Volpe that he's not able to stay disciplined in his approach. And if you're not able to stay disciplined in your approach, even if you're hitting in front of Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, then you're not going to get what you should be getting. If he has a disciplined approach, is able to recognize pitches and able to see the ball the way that he should be seeing the ball as a major league hitter in a leadoff spot in front of those guys, then they're not going to respect that at all, and they're not going to attack him over the plate. They know that they can get him off the plate. Yep. And that's what's happening. You're not getting there. It's disrespectful to him because he's shown that he can be disrespected. Seriously, he needs to be the discipline at the plate for him is number one, and he's not showing it.
All right,
and I'm not talking about just identifying strikes and balls, but it's about what you're laying off of, what your execution is, what your plan is going up to that.
There's no approach at the plate, and Gleyber Torres, I think, has been criticized for this too, where he's up there in an at bat, and the pitcher is dictating the at bat to them versus them dictating the at bat back, or even just sort of a back and forth. You've got Aaron Judge and Juan Soto; those are the elite of the elite. They are dictating the at bat to the pitcher. Then at least Volpe and some of these other guys, Verdugo's, and these hitters who should be more competitive in at-bats are getting at-bats dictated to them. Glaber, he finds himself, he's even ahead in the count 2-0, and he's swinging at a pitcher's pitch because he has no approach. He's got no discipline. He's up there just hacking.
Yes. And you go back to even guys like Brett Gardner in the leadoff spot. Brett Gardner would take 2 pitches just to see what it looks like. And then he would have
command of the at-bat.
He would have command of the at-bat because he also had command of the bat, command of his hands through the zone, and he would foul off 6 pitches. And he would be able to lengthen that at-bat and run it to a full count. You saw it time and time again. And if you're in a leadoff spot and you're not able to, if you go down 0-2 and then you're swinging at balls outside the strike zone, like, I don't know what you're doing for me, because you're not able to that's not a benefit to the team. So,
but they're up 2-0 and swinging at balls 3 inches above the strike zone or in the dirt.
It doesn't matter if it's 0-2 or 2-0. Yeah, they're
in swing
approach.
mode. They're in swing mode. Oh, 2-0, I'm in swing mode. The guy could roll it up there like a bowling ball, and I'm going to swing at it.
Yeah, I really do. Like, to me, for Anthony Volpe, it's cutout sections of the strike zone, cutout sections of the plate, period, and just don't swing at that shit. Mm-hmm. Like, go the A-Rod approach. Hunt fastballs over the plate in certain quadrants, and if you don't see it, don't swing.
So if there's 2 guys that are going to have to turn this around for this offense to be good again, obviously it's Volpe, and number 2, it's Alex Verdugo. He's the number 2 negative from the series. 1 for 13 in the series. Obviously, we talked about the misread on the fly ball that cost them. Since May 1st, he has been one of the worst offensive players in baseball with 200 or more plate appearances. He ranks 121st out of 131 guys in that span in Major League Baseball.
That's bad. It was so promising to start. I'm looking up as we're talking about this, the Cody Bellinger,
You're not
Alex
be
Verdugo. I don't think it's as bad as you think, though. I think Cody Bellinger's hurt again too, isn't he?
He's been hurt twice this year, but Verdugo's been one of the worst players in baseball for 2.5 months.
I know it's not good because it started out so promising and he was doing so well, and again another nothing burger guy has been recently. And then if you're not going to play defense too, and you're going to lose games the way you lose them, like, I don't know what you're doing for me. Where the hell is Jason Dominguez? Why? Let the guy play a defense for 9 innings.
Yeah. So between Verdugo and Volpe, call it through the middle of May. I know I just cited Verdugo's number since May 1st, but in the middle of May, he was still in the cleanup spot. Verdugo was in the leadoff spot. You had those 2 guys, plus obviously Soto and Judge, and then Stanton was there. Like, you had 5 good hitters in the lineup at that point, which made the lineup deep. And we were sitting there saying, if DJ can come back and produce, if Rizzo turns it around, like, they're getting a little bit out of the catcher spot. You had Oswaldo Cabrera, who had a couple good weeks. Like, that's fine. That's the bottom of your order. But unless Verdugo, like, they're not going to go out there and acquire 5 offensive players at the deadline. You do need some of your guys to turn it around, and you do need some of your guys to come back and be healthy. And if it's not going to be Volpe and Verdugo, I don't know who it's going to be, because I mentioned DJ earlier. I think he's done. I think he's just done. He looks totally done.
Yeah. So at bats have not been. I mean, I've seen the lines. I've seen the box score. It's not good. He does look.
It's like he's swinging a freaking pool noodle up there. It's the bat. The ball comes off of his bat, dead, no pop.
It looks sad. It looks sad because he's not. He looks like a shell of himself right now, and this could be it. This could be the fact that you have these leg injuries, these foot injuries, that you're just not able to be that same guy. And unfortunately, like that has happened to many a hitter where you get something. I mean, go back to Teixeira with the wrist sheath injury, like never himself after that. There are certain injuries with certain guys that affect the mechanics in a way that they're never the same after that. And then Father Time takes over and they're not able to rebound, unfortunately. So it's unfortunate. And real quick, I just pulled up these Verdugo Bellinger numbers. They're the WAR numbers. Bellinger's taken a commanding 1.1 to 0.2 lead. The Verdugo has more hits. He has more home runs. He has more RBIs. Everything else on the other side. The
rate numbers are all better for.
I will say
Bellinger.
the Cody Bellinger numbers are not good either.
No, and listen.
So thank God we didn't sign him. But
they're
not good. They're bad. We would be screaming from the
Yes,
rooftops for everybody's head, and I would be laughing in your face if we signed him and he was doing this on the Yankees. But They're not.
But
good.
Verdugo's now not even producing to his career averages.
Right. Yeah. So as the season rolls out, I'm still probably going to be in a good spot if Verdugo can turn it around.
All right, the number 3 negative is Carlos Rodon. And you might be saying, well, he only gave up 2 runs. If 4 innings, 2 runs, and 98 pitches we're saying is a good start for a guy making $28 million a year, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Is this the best we can hope for with Rodon where, he didn't lose the game in the first inning? Good job. Good job, Carlos. Thanks for getting it to the 4th inning for us when it's still a game.
What's wrong with him?
I think he just sucks. I think
is he just a bad pitcher?
Yes, I think he's just a bad pitcher.
Is he just a 2-pitch pitcher who can't consistently get a 3rd and 4th pitch?
Has no confidence in his 3rd or 4th pitch.
Yeah.
I talked about this with Max, and he said it's baffling where in the starts against where he's lost the game so early against Tampa, against Toronto, and then there was one more in there. I think it was Boston earlier in the month, where they sit there and they talk to him after the game, and he settles in a little bit. And Boone gives credit for settling in and gutting through 4 or 5 innings. And Rodon talks about, I started to use my secondary stuff and started to get, better results. And Max and other writers are like, well, why aren't you doing that from the beginning? And 2 things to this. Number 1 is it's not good stuff, okay? So that's why he's not going to it. His good stuff is fastball and slider. So that's what he's trying to attack hitters with, and they're sitting all over it. They want him to throw his tertiary and 4th pitch, curveball, changeup, whatever the hell it is. If he's doing that in the first inning, the other team's already won. And number 2 is it's already a game over, okay? A guy's not going up there when the team is up by 7 runs and having the same competitive at bat against somebody as they are when it's a 1-1 game. So Carlos Rodon gutting through the 5th inning when the team's down 9-1 is not impressive.
Yeah, but what you just said is a little counterintuitive, because if he's not going to go to his secondary stuff early in the count or early in the game, and he's only using his fastball slider early in the game, and they are hitting it, and that means to me your best stuff isn't that good, and that everybody is jumping all over it. So you should show different things earlier in the count and stop stop trying to set up the game for the 2nd and 3rd time through the lineup, because clearly it's not working.
It's not working.
In order for you to set up batters for the 2nd and 3rd time through the lineup, maybe it's showing your not as good stuff, your secondary stuff earlier in the count. Maybe the bullpen session's got to be a little bit different so that you're finding it a little bit earlier with how your grip is on some of that secondary stuff. Like, prioritize that. If you believe that your fastball slider is your best stuff, you're going to have to show something different, because clearly they're sitting fastball. The slider's not effective if the fastball's not over the strike zone. He's having issues throwing the fastball over the strike zone. And when you do that, and you're only 2 pitches, you're screwed.
Well, you kind of get a start like you saw yesterday against Baltimore, where it's not, you're not getting crushed, but you're at 100 pitches in the 4th inning, and you're not giving the team any length. And the one
that's command. You don't have command, and you're failing the team if you're going out there and only throwing as a starting pitcher, as who was supposed to be the number 2, like you said, $28 million a year, the number 2 guy. If you're going out there and throwing 4 innings, that's not good. You need to be going 6-7 innings.
He was throwing 100 miles an hour. He was absolutely gassing it yesterday. And the one home run he gave up was on a hanging slider to Gunnar Henderson. I just think unfortunately, this seemed like 4 or 5 innings, 100-ish pitches, laboring, base runners, deep counts, probably 1 or 2 home runs. If he can limit it to 3 runs or 2 runs in that span, that's like the best you can hope for from him, which is so freaking awful to say.
Yeah, don't hang a slider over the zone when you're a 2-pitch guy and that's your second best pitch to Gunnar Henderson, the best player on their team.
He escaped jams in the 2nd and 3rd innings too. Like it was the 2nd and 4th innings. I forget. Whenever Henderson hit the home run, the other 2 innings he had base runners on and he escaped jams.
You know the Orioles have so many prospects. They're going to go out and get any arm they want.
Yeah, their system is, I think, ranked the best in baseball.
They still have the Holiday kid sitting in AAA. They have a couple other guys. The kid with the Dutch last name who got hit in the head was in AAA to start the year. Like, that's another. I think he's a little older. Like, that's a guy they could actually just deal and get a significant arm in return. Because if they have somebody that's not named Craig Kimbrell in the 9th inning come playoff time, that's a problem. Because he's not good. You can't rely on him.
No. Yeah, I want to talk about a little bit more about the benches clearing thing. We touched on it at the top, but today we are brought to you by Factor Meals. Summer is the perfect time to eat healthy and reach your wellness goals, and there's no better way to do that than with Factor Meals. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes, so no matter how busy you are, you can eat healthy and great tasting food. The Factor process is very easy. You go on their website and choose from over 35 delicious meals each week. You can also customize your deliveries with 60 different add-ons. Highly skilled chefs prepare your food and is delivered to you. Heating the meals takes just 2 minutes, and then there is no mess or anything to clean up afterwards. That's my favorite part. It's so easy and so convenient. Factor has options for every meal from breakfast to dessert. It is no prep, no mess, just delicious food. We have an awesome offer for you. Head to factormeals.com/Bronx50 and use code Bronx50 to get 50% off your first box. And then you also get 20% off your next month. That's an awesome deal. 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month at factormeals.com/Bronx50. So far in the season series between these two teams, the Yankees have hit 10 guys, have hit Orioles 10 times. And Orioles have hit the Yankees 4 times, and they each got hit once in the series. Obviously, Heston Kjerstad on Friday night, which I don't think was intentional, despite Brandon Hyde's antics.
It was not. It's not,
not
you don't
intentional.
Think it was intentional. It was not intentional.
It was not intentional. And then Judge gets hit in the first inning when it's first 2 guys get out. So if you're gonna hit a guy, it's the first inning with no one on base and dog shit up behind him. He gets hit in the elbow guard. Which may or may not have been intentional.
Probably was.
That's
the guy you're going to hit, and if you hit him in a guard, like, frankly, that's the place to do it, right? If you know what that is, and but Judge was hit earlier in the year, right? In one of that first with his hand, then he missed a game after that, if I remember correctly.
It was in response up and in. That was the last time they played them, and that was up. It was up and in. It was in response to, I think, 2 Orioles being hit like earlier that series. Yeah.
So, look, I love the tension between these two teams right now. And when I gotta say, I was watching the replays of this. Like when they came out, everybody came out pretty fast.
Oh,
like,
guys were ready to go.
I thought it looked like like the Civil War, like woo, like, and I'm surprised there wasn't more of an altercation.
Came too. You got the guys sprinting from the bullpens.
They're always late though, so it's never like these guys.
Just for show.
They came out quickly, and it was like full squad coming out together, and they met pretty. It seemed like it was going to be more aggressive.
And then they had a breakdance fight.
Yeah, then they all just hugged it out and slapped each other on the ass, and we're like, all right, cool, we did this. Your guy was overreacting a little bit. It was unintentional. There were no comments coming from the dugout that were aimed at your guys, because that was the other thing that he apparently had said was set off. And so anyway, I love the fact, like, you watch Aaron Judge's face too after this happened, and like he's talking shit, like he's all into it. He loves it. You can tell that he loves it. I like the fire. I like the tenacity between the two. I think it's a good heated rivalry, and I think it's going to continue. So I think, looking at this for the rest of the year is going to be fun, and I'm kind of glad it happened.
Earlier, though, you mentioned, it looked like it had the opposite effect on the Orioles until the 9th inning last night. Well, I mean, if not for 2 errors, then it has no effect on them. Like the Yankees win that game easy, if not for 2. It's not like they just got hits and were fired up.
I don't mean it like it helped the Orioles. I think is what I was saying is that it looked like it was helping the Yankees. Like Rice comes out, hits the home run in the 9th. Like there's some momentum there. They're about to sweep the series, and then they just shit themselves and and give it up. But it did feel like the Yankees fed off of that, because they also knew that it wasn't intentional. So when you do that, you start building like a little bit of spite and like chip on the shoulder type thing. Like, these guys are jackasses. They think we did this intentional. Who are they? You can muster up some good chip on the shoulder type stuff.
Bulletin board material for
That's
sure.
Right.
Yeah, they probably don't play each other much in the second half though, because they've already played one series in the second half. That's it.
Yeah, one series. It's like the second to last series at Yankee Stadium. It's like
so they don't play them again until the end of September.
Yeah,
great.
It's a while. Yeah,
but that's good. That could mean a
high
lot.
Stakes. Yeah,
Could absolutely mean a lot.
At this point, Baltimore has the season series, right? Because they've up until this
It
series
would have been
they had
5-5
won.
if they won yesterday, I think.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
6-4.
Which
So
also is what a terrible way to boot away. And now you're giving up the season series right now.
Because
which is a
now you
2-game
have
swing,
to
which is a problem.
You have to sweep that last series in order to have the season series. So even if you're in a situation where you would tie with Baltimore at the end of the year, even if you win 2 out of 3 in that end series, you don't have the tiebreaker.
Assuming there's a tie, yes.
Assuming there's a tie, yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge missed opportunity. It really is.
You have to finish. You have to basically win one more game because Baltimore can finish tied with you and win the division, where you have to finish ahead of Baltimore to win the division.
That's correct. You're right. They have a game advantage unless you're going in and sweeping that last one. Yes.
All right, so we already mentioned Trevino to the IL. Stanton should be coming back soon after the All-Star break. Boone said really close at this point, so whatever that means. Efros also reinstated from the 60-day IL, an option to AAA. So Efros could be another guy that we see come back soon after the All-Star break to help the bullpen. When's the last time he threw a pitch in Major League Baseball? I don't know. I hope he's good, but also he hasn't pitched in so long.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see it when I believe it. I don't even remember what he looks like, to be honest.
They acquired him with
You could put Scott Efros in a
Lou
lineup
Trevino.
of 10 guys or 5 guys or
And you
3
couldn't
guys,
take Efros out.
and it would be pure luck.
Yeah, I'm with you. So let's briefly touch on the Yankees draft picks because the MLB draft has started. First round draft pick, Ben Hess, right-hand pitcher from Alabama. He's got some Lance Lynn comps. Does that excite you?
Smells like hot dogs.
Does that excite you or not?
Look, the first two picks were in Ben Hess, right-handed pitcher from Alabama, Bryce Cunningham, right-handed pitcher from Vanderbilt. Yes, cool. Like, you stack the arms, good. I think the position players in the Yankees organization right now is probably in a pretty decent spot for things that are gonna. What can help us soon? Pitching can help us soon, right? You're seeing guys come up very quickly through the ranks on the pitching side, more so than you are position players. So I think, yeah, I don't know who these guys are. I don't know. They haven't had like a ton of success, but I don't think that means a lot either.
Yeah, but they seem to be like pretty average college pitchers with high upside from
That's what you're
stuff
looking for.
and the body types.
Unless you're like a top 5, top 10 guy, right? Like that's a stud pitcher that has all of the strikeout results and the things you're looking for. You're drafted, very high in the first round. So you're not going to get one of those guys. So you look for a type, you look for a guy that you believe has the stuff that you can mold and who long term has the path to be a high-end pitcher, has the ability to do that. There's a very low percentage of these guys making it. There always is. But I think this is the last pitcher. Ben Hess is the first time the Yankees used a first-round pick since Clark Schmidt. So,
Okay.
And Clark Schmidt, again, like was going into Tommy John surgery when they drafted him. So they saw the ability and the type of thing that they're looking for in a guy. And I think that does matter when you're drafting in that type of spot more than anything. They are a developmental project, and these are big body guys who could throw hard and have the sustainability to what they said upside is like, number 2 guy in the rotation type thing. So we'll see.
It's just like the MLB
But stack
draft.
arms. I think you stack arms is a good thing.
Yeah, with the MLB draft and like their ranking, like I saw articles written that the Yankees got the 3rd worst grade for the first round because Ben Hess was ranked much lower by draft experts than where he actually went. It's like, okay, fine.
Does it really matter if he's within a 20 to 30? I feel like your guys have to see something in a particular person, and you're looking for attributes that you believe will translate over the next 3 years. And if you believe in the next 3 years, because a lot of guys aren't fully developed even out of college, as far as like the way that they're going to be as a pitcher. So many times profiles change, but if you have the physical attributes that you believe they can have and control of certain pitches, and you believe you can make them better, then sure. There's plenty of these guys that are out there that are well outside the first round.
Damon Oppenheimer has been in charge of the Yankees amateur scouting and draft since like the mid 2000s, like since 2005 or 2006. And he's one of these guys that like kind of came up with Brian Cashman, and Brian Cashman obviously loves and trusts, and he's been there for going on 20 years. And Cashman, when has that sort of connection to someone, like he doesn't want to change that. Like he wants to keep that continuity. But like, would you say the Yankees have had a great scouting record in the past 20 years? Like you can count on one hand the number of draft picks that they've had that have actually turned into quality.
I think you could probably go across the league and find that too. You could find that across the league.
So. I think the Yankees. I don't have.
They've been better recently. They've been better recently. Obviously, you have Judge. What was he? 32. They won there. They Spencer Jones seemingly is the right guy.
You can't count Spencer Jones yet. I'm saying counting guys who have turned into quality. I'm not saying they have to turn into MVP Judge-like players, but did they turn into contributing Major League Baseball players?
Clark Schmidt, also another first-round guy that has been a contributing Major League Baseball player. So I think recently they've been better.
And you've had
Volpe this year. I mean, we just talked about him, but
we don't know. You had. We talked about Montgomery recently. I think though
Montgomery also.
Who else though? Like you got to go back to like Brett Gardner in the draft from like the late.
Yeah, but
2000s.
I just named 5 guys that are contributing that they drafted that are Austin Wells, starting catcher. They've done Ben Rice.
Just to make it to the majors is
Ben Rice out of Dartmouth. He was like a much later round pick. So they're clearly doing something right as of late.
It doesn't seem to me like
I'm going to shit all over
Damon Oppenheimer and the Yankees drafting has been good enough to warrant a 20-year tenure. How about that?
Well, I mean, you go up and down the Yankees organization, and they have guys who have been here for a very long time. It's how they do business.
Yes. All right. That's going to wrap it up for today's episode. We're going to do the GM episode next. I just realized we got to do that. We got to get our ass in gear.
All-Star game is Tuesday.
We have to record the GM episode probably on Wednesday because Thursday I'm in the city, so I can't do it Thursday.
Got it. All right. So cool. So I got to get back on a decent sleep schedule because I'm completely screwed up right now. Up at like 4:30 this morning trying to sleep. Not great. And I'll figure out some GM plans. Ilya and I are teaming up. You and Logan, as usual. Enemies for the week. And here we go.
Are we going to put any ground rules on this?
As like what?
I don't know. I feel like we always go into it. We always set the scene, right? Like, oh, if I were Brian Cashman, like, let's try and be realistic. Remember I forget if it was last deadline or last offseason, we said, let's try and not play Brian Cashman and just be Scott or Andrew is the general manager. So
yes, but we also put that within the boundaries of being realistic in the sense of what the Yankees could do.
Well, they could do anything. They have the resources financially.
Will do. It's like
literally
that we know they won't do. Putting outlandish things in there that we know they won't do just is a futile exercise at that point. So yes, relatively realistic things that maybe or maybe not Brian Cashman has the balls to do. That's where the gray area comes into play. I think we did it pretty well in the offseason. I think we towed the line. A lot of it came true.
I'm torn between making no moves and making 73 moves.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's going to be one or the other for this team.
I have some thoughts on, and I'll save those thoughts for when we record. But I think it's going to be tricky. I think it's going to be a tricky deadline for Brian Cashman.
He even talked about this when he met with the media in Tampa.
Yeah, I didn't hear a lot of that. I'll have to go back and listen.
He kind of alluded to the fact like there's going to be a lot of buyers and not a lot of sellers, which is setting the groundwork for we're in on a lot of moves but didn't like the price.
Or they don't have the ability to be competitive in the price because I think that's going to come into play. I think that's here I just let out what I was going to say, but I think that's, and we've talked about this. It's not like it's a mystery. You look down in the system and who they can give up and who other teams want. It's pretty top heavy. There's not a lot of guys down there that are going to get you the top flight trade market guys, especially when you're competing against the Orioles who have, they're chock full of prospects that they can offer.
And you know what that means?
Like you got to be It's going to be tough to be competitive, and they're not going to spend money.
You know what that means? Scott Efros and Giancarlo Stanton are midseason acquisitions.
Yeah. Well, the team has talent, so we'll see what happens.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. We'll talk to you again with those GM plans. That episode will probably be out Thursday morning.